third party lost control yesterday. She fought with him after he said, "You're the one I really want." My beloved child, something changed yesterday, and the words spoken in that moment may explain everything you have been sensing. The third party thought she understood exactly where his heart stood, until one simple conversation turned everything upside down. He had been holding something back for far too long, trying to keep the peace while his true feelings became harder to hide. Then she asked him a question she expected him to answer easily. If you could choose the person your heart truly wants, who would it be? For a moment, he said nothing. That silence told her more than she wanted to know. She pressed him again, expecting reassurance, but instead he finally said the words that changed the entire atmosphere, "You're the one I really want," and he was not talking about her. He was talking about you. Don't skip, because what happened immediately after that confession reveals why his feelings have suddenly become impossible to keep hidden. She could see it in his face. This was not a random thought, temporary emotion, or passing memory. You had remained somewhere inside him even when he tried to convince everyone that he had moved forward. And the most surprising part is that yesterday was not the first time your name had quietly entered their conversations. Something huge is waiting for you, because the reason she finally confronted him was connected to something she had already noticed before he ever admitted the truth. What she noticed was a pattern. Whenever someone mentioned love, commitment, the future, or the person who truly understood him, his entire energy changed. He could pretend everything was normal until something reminded him of you. Then he became quieter. More thoughtful. Almost as though his mind had traveled somewhere nobody else could follow. She had noticed this before, but yesterday she finally connected the pieces. She asked him why he could speak so confidently about everything except the person he genuinely wanted. He tried to avoid the question, but she would not let it disappear. That was when the conversation became emotional, because she realized she had been competing with a connection she could never fully understand. Stay till the end, because his next admission was even bigger than the first. He told her that he had tried to silence what he felt. He had tried distracting himself, changing his routine, convincing himself that enough time would make the connection disappear. But instead, every attempt seemed to bring the same truth back even stronger. When he imagined the person he wanted beside him during the most meaningful moments of his life, your presence kept appearing. And that realization completely changed yesterday's conversation. The third party asked him directly, "Then why are you still here if your heart keeps going somewhere else?" He could have avoided answering. He could have softened the truth. Instead, he became completely still and said something she never expected, "Because I was afraid the person I really want no longer wants me." That sentence revealed everything. His distance was not proof that he had forgotten you. His silence was hiding uncertainty. But there is another piece she did not know until yesterday, and this is where the entire story takes a surprising turn. He had apparently been thinking about reaching out to you before that conversation ever happened. Something recently reminded him of a moment between you that he thought he had forgotten, and it brought back emotions with unbelievable clarity. He started wondering whether the connection had truly ended or whether both of you had simply been waiting for the other person to make the first move. Don't skip, because the biggest revelation is still underneath all of this. After the conversation ended, he did not simply return to his normal routine. He went back through something connected to you, something he had deliberately avoided for a long time, and what he found made him question a decision he had made months ago. Suddenly, the past looked different. A misunderstanding he had accepted as truth no longer made sense. Something he once believed about why you pulled away may have been completely wrong. And now he realizes that if he misunderstood you then, he may have allowed something precious to slip away for a reason that was never real. Something huge is waiting for you, because yesterday's argument was only the beginning. The third party now knows exactly where his heart keeps returning, but she still does not know what he discovered after their conversation, or why that discovery has him considering a move toward you that he once promised himself he would never make. There is one detail from yesterday that changes the meaning of everything, and the third party discovered it only after the conversation was already over. He had walked away carrying emotions he could no longer pretend were gone, but instead of trying to forget what he had just admitted, he opened something connected to you that he had kept untouched for a very long time. The moment he saw it, one memory came rushing back with such clarity that he finally understood why moving forward had always felt incomplete. It was not because he was trapped in the past. It was because there was something between you that had never received a real ending. Don't skip, because what he remembered next made him question the entire story he had been telling himself. He remembered the last period when things between you changed, and suddenly he noticed something he had completely missed before. Your distance may not have meant rejection. Your silence may not have meant that you stopped caring. There had been confusion between what you felt and what he believed you felt, and someone else's assumptions had quietly filled the empty spaces. Now he was looking at everything differently. He whispered something that the third party was never supposed to hear. What if I was wrong about them the whole time? And in that second, she realized his confession about wanting you was not simply emotional. He was beginning to reconsider every choice that had kept him away from you. Then came the moment nobody expected. She confronted him again, asking why he was suddenly looking backward when he had spent so much time insisting that the past was finished. His answer stunned her because he did not defend himself. He simply admitted that pretending had become harder than telling the truth. Stay till the end, because the next thing he revealed explains why yesterday became such a turning point. He said there had been countless moments when he almost reached out to you. He had imagined what he would say, how you might respond, and whether one conversation could repair everything that silence had complicated. But every time he came close, the same thought stopped him: what if they have already chosen a life without me? Yesterday changed that fear. For the first time, he began asking a completely different question: what if they were waiting too? That question shook him because suddenly doing nothing felt riskier than finally speaking. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is another reason this realization hit him now. Recently, he heard something about you that made him understand you were no longer standing still. Your life was moving. Your energy was changing. And the possibility that someone else could eventually recognize your value made him realize that time would not wait forever. And now the real surprise begins, because after the third party walked away, he made a private decision. He decided that if he ever approached you again, he would not come with vague words, half-truths, or another confusing conversation. He wanted to tell you exactly what happened, exactly why he stayed silent, and exactly what he has been carrying all this time. Don't skip. This is where yesterday's argument becomes connected directly to what could happen next. He started forming the words he had never been brave enough to say before. I chose what looked easier because I thought you had already stopped choosing me. But now he knows that assumption may have cost him the person he genuinely wanted. He is beginning to understand that you were never supposed to compete for a place in his heart. That place had already been yours, his fear simply kept him from admitting it. Stay till the end, because the biggest revelation has still not surfaced. There is one specific thing from your past that he plans to explain if he gets the opportunity to speak with you, and it is something the third party knows nothing about. Something huge is waiting for you, because once that truth comes out, you may finally understand why he looked at you the way he did, why he disappeared when his feelings became strongest, and why yesterday he finally said the words he had spent so long trying not to say. You were the one his heart kept choosing. What happened after that private decision was even more revealing, because he suddenly remembered the exact moment everything between you began to change. It was not a dramatic goodbye. It was something much smaller, a conversation that ended too soon, a feeling left unexplained, and one assumption that grew larger every time neither of you spoke. For months, he believed you had emotionally closed the door. But yesterday, after admitting who he truly wanted, he finally questioned that belief. Don't skip, because this is where the story takes a completely unexpected turn. He remembered something you once said that he had misunderstood at the time. Back then, he heard distance in your words. Now he hears disappointment. He realizes you may not have been asking him to disappear, you may have been waiting for him to show you that you mattered enough for him to stay. That realization hit him harder than the argument itself. Suddenly, every missed opportunity returned to his mind. Every time he almost contacted you. Every moment he wanted to explain himself but chose silence instead. And then he admitted something privately that changes everything. I kept waiting for a sign from them while they may have been waiting for one from me. Stay till the end, because once he understood that, yesterday stopped being just another emotional day. It became the moment he realized that the connection might have been interrupted by fear rather than ended by a lack of feeling. But there was still one question he could not answer. If he came back now, would you believe him? He knows words alone may not be enough. That is why something inside him has shifted. He no longer wants to simply tell you that he missed you, he wants to explain why he allowed so much time to pass while still carrying you in his heart. Something huge is waiting for you, because the third party sensed this change almost immediately. She expected yesterday's argument to make him retreat, but the opposite happened. He became clearer, calmer, more certain about what he could no longer deny. She asked whether he was seriously willing to risk everything familiar for someone from his past. His response was simple: they never felt like the past to me. That sentence changed the entire conversation. He finally admitted that whenever he imagined a future that genuinely felt right, you were somehow inside that picture. Not because he was trying to recreate an old story, but because there was a version of himself around you that felt more authentic. Don't skip, because what he said next surprised even him. He admitted that the reason he resisted you so strongly may have been the exact reason he could never forget you. The connection asked him to be emotionally honest in a way he had never learned to be. Now another truth is beginning to surface, and this one could explain why the third party lost control yesterday. She realized his feelings for you were not suddenly returning. They had never completely disappeared. He had simply become better at hiding them. But once he spoke your truth aloud, hiding became almost impossible. Stay till the end, because he is now facing a choice he avoided for far too long: continue living according to what feels comfortable, or finally follow what feels real. And there is one final detail he has not told anyone yet. Before yesterday ended, he searched for something connected directly to you, not because he wanted another memory, but because he wanted to know whether there was still a way back into your world. Something huge is waiting for you, because what he found gave him a reason to believe the door might not be completely closed. Now he is thinking about the first words he would say if he finally reached you. Not a dramatic promise. Not an excuse. Just the truth he should have spoken much earlier: I thought losing you quietly would hurt less than telling you how much you mattered. I was wrong. And if he follows through with what he is considering now, yesterday may eventually be remembered as the day everything that had been hidden finally began moving toward the light. Something shifted inside him after yesterday, and this time even he knows he cannot return to pretending nothing happened. The third party expected him to wake up questioning everything he had admitted, but instead his feelings became clearer. He replayed that conversation in his mind, especially the moment he finally admitted who he truly wanted, and one realization kept returning: he had spent too much time protecting himself from an answer he already knew. Don't skip, because what happened next surprised even him. He began remembering the smallest details about you, the way you understood what he meant before he finished speaking, the moments when your presence made ordinary days feel different, and the conversations he once assumed he would always have another chance to continue. Now those memories carry a different meaning. He understands that he was not simply missing a person, he was missing a connection he never managed to replace. Stay till the end, because the third party noticed something else yesterday that he never intended to reveal. When she asked him whether he could honestly imagine never speaking to you again, he could not answer immediately. That silence became his answer. And when she finally asked, if they appeared in front of you right now, what would you say? He whispered, I would tell them everything. Something huge is waiting for you, because there is one truth inside that everything that has remained hidden longer than all the others. The truth is that there was a moment in the past when he nearly chose you openly. He had already imagined the conversation. He had already decided what he wanted to say. But before he could do it, something made him believe the timing was wrong and that you were emotionally moving away. Instead of asking you directly, he trusted his fear. That decision created the distance that eventually became silence. Now he sees how one assumption may have changed the direction of everything. Don't skip, because yesterday he finally admitted something he had never admitted before: I didn't walk away because I felt nothing. I walked away because I felt too much and didn't know what to do with it. Suddenly, the third party understood why mentioning you had always changed his mood. She understood why certain memories made him unusually quiet and why he never spoke about you like an ordinary person from his past. You represented an unfinished question inside him, and now that question has become impossible to ignore. He is wondering what would happen if he stopped guessing what you feel and finally allowed you to tell him yourself. Stay till the end, because that thought has led him toward a decision he once considered impossible. He does not want another person interpreting your feelings for him. He wants the truth directly from you, and this is where yesterday's argument becomes bigger than anyone realized. It forced him to separate what he genuinely wants from what he had simply accepted. For the first time, he is asking himself whether comfort is worth keeping if it requires pretending his heart belongs somewhere it does not. Something huge is waiting for you, because he has started imagining one honest conversation with you, not to pressure you, not to rewrite the past, but to finally place the truth where it always belonged. He wants you to know that his silence never meant you were forgotten. He wants to explain the misunderstanding that changed everything. And most importantly, he wants to know whether the connection he still remembers exists anywhere inside you too. Don't skip, because there is one more revelation coming. The third party believes yesterday was the moment she lost his heart, but the truth may be completely different. His heart was never something she suddenly lost yesterday. Yesterday was simply the day he stopped pretending it had stopped returning to you. And now there is only one question left standing between everything that happened and everything that could happen next. When he finally gets the courage to speak, will he discover that he was the only one holding on to this connection, or will he learn that somewhere beneath all that silence, you never completely let go either? Now the story reaches the moment he never thought he would face, because after everything that happened yesterday, he can no longer hide behind confusion. Something became painfully clear to him. The third party did not create his feelings for you, and yesterday's argument did not suddenly bring those feelings back. It simply forced him to say aloud what he had been refusing to admit. Don't skip, because what he realized afterward changed the entire meaning of his silence. He remembered how many times he had secretly wondered whether you still thought about him, whether you ever replayed the same memories, and whether you had interpreted his distance as proof that he never cared. That possibility unsettled him more than he expected. He suddenly understood that while he was waiting for certainty, you may have been receiving nothing but silence. While he was protecting himself from rejection, you may have been wondering why someone who once seemed to care could disappear emotionally. Stay till the end, because this realization led to the strongest thought he has had in a long time. If I never tell them the truth, they may spend forever believing something that was never true. And that is exactly what he no longer wants. He does not want you remembering the connection as something meaningless to him. He wants you to know that beneath every hesitation, every unfinished conversation, and every moment he stepped backward, there was a feeling he simply did not know how to handle. Then something even more surprising happened. He stopped thinking about what the third party wanted him to do and started asking himself what he would choose if nobody else had an opinion. That question brought one answer immediately: you. Not the memory of you. Not an imaginary version of the past. You, as you are now. Something huge is waiting for you, because he finally understands that if he ever gets another opportunity, he cannot approach you expecting everything to return instantly to what it once was. He knows time has changed you. He knows you may have stronger boundaries now, that he knows your heart is not something he can simply assume is waiting for him. And strangely, that realization has made his feelings even clearer. He does not want to control the outcome. He wants one chance to tell the truth and allow you to decide what happens afterward. Don't skip, because yesterday he imagined exactly what that conversation might sound like. He imagined looking at you and saying, "Should have asked what you felt instead of deciding the answer for you." Then came the sentence he has resisted longer than anything else: "I chose silence when I should have chosen honesty." Stay till the end, because those words reveal why the third party's argument affected him so deeply. She was asking him to deny something he had already spent far too long denying to himself, and now there is one final revelation hiding behind everything he admitted yesterday. The reason you remained unforgettable was not because everything between you was perfect. It was because something about you made him imagine becoming more honest, more certain, and more courageous than he had been before. That is why other connections never erased the question of you. Something huge is waiting for you, because he is beginning to understand that the real unfinished business was never simply romance, it was truth. There were words he owed you. There were assumptions that should have been questions. There were feelings that deserved honesty instead of silence. And after yesterday, he knows he cannot keep carrying them forever. Don't skip, because the next decision belongs entirely to him now. The third party knows where his heart keeps returning. He knows what fear, but what happened next was the moment everything inside him finally became undeniable. After yesterday's conversation, he tried to imagine continuing exactly as before, saying nothing, changing nothing, and allowing you to remain the person he secretly thought about but never approached. For the first time, that future felt completely wrong. Don't skip, because one question entered his mind and refused to leave: what if I wait until there is no chance left? That thought changed him. He realized he had been treating time as though it would always give him another opportunity, another day, another perfect moment to explain himself. But there is no perfect moment. There is only the moment someone finally becomes brave enough to be truthful. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. He remembered the exact words from yesterday, "You're the one I really want," and suddenly understood that once those words had been spoken, he could never honestly pretend otherwise. The third party had heard them. He had heard himself say them. And most importantly, he finally believed them. What surprised him most was the calm that followed. After months of confusion, admitting the truth did not make him feel more lost. It made him feel certain. Then another realization arrived, and this one changed how he sees you completely. He knows you are not the same person he once knew. Time has strengthened you, changed your priorities, and possibly taught you to stop waiting for people who cannot decide what they want. That thought made him understand something important: if he comes toward you now, he cannot arrive with another half-hearted message. He has to come with clarity. Don't skip, because he has already imagined the first truth he wants you to hear: I never stopped caring. I stopped believing I still had a chance. Those are two completely different things, and he finally understands the difference. Stay till the end, because the third party sensed this certainty too. She asked him one final question: if they gave you one honest conversation, would you choose them? This time there was no long silence. No hesitation. No attempt to protect anyone from the answer. He simply said, I would finally tell them why I never stopped choosing them inside. Something huge is waiting for you, because that answer revealed that yesterday was never simply about an argument. It was about a truth becoming too powerful to remain hidden. And now everything comes down to one choice: will he continue thinking about what could have been, or finally discover what could still be? Don't skip, because this is where his biggest realization appears. He does not expect you to forget the silence. He does not expect you to erase the past. He only wants the chance to replace assumptions with truth. He wants to explain why he stepped backward when he actually wanted to come closer, why he remained quiet when there were so many things he wanted to say, and why hearing the possibility of losing you completely finally changed something inside him. Stay till the end, because he has reached the point where remaining silent may feel harder than hearing whatever answer you might give. Something huge is waiting for you. Yesterday the third party thought she was fighting over his attention, but she discovered something much deeper. His heart had already made a choice long before his words caught up with it. And now the only person who has not heard that truth directly is you. The next chapter depends on whether he finally turns everything he admitted yesterday into action, and if he does, the first words he has been rehearsing could change the meaning of every silent moment that came before.